persist, humanitarian needs are growing. Let us keep up our common efforts towards multilateral solutions that meet people's legitimate aspirations for peace, freedom, and justice. Excellencies, as we scan the global landscape, injustice and inequalities are rampant, especially for the countries of the Global South. Across the Arab world, Africa and beyond, they are being hit from all sides, weakened by conflicts, battered by the COVID-19 pandemic, and pummeled by the climate crisis. Now they face the fallout of the war in Ukraine, soaring food and energy prices, spiraling inflation, and crushing debt burdens. Developing countries everywhere need justice, which means much greater support. Governments in roughly half the world, including across the Arab region and Africa, are not getting the financing they need. I am pushing for an SDG stimulus led by the G20 to boost investment in sustainable development for emerging economies, to increase liquidity, and to speed up debt relief and restructure debt comprehensively, effectively, and fairly. We are also working non-stop with all relevant stakeholders on ending the suspension and on extending the Black Sea Grain Initiative and removing all remaining obstacles to the export of Russian food and fertilizers. This initiative has been vital to your region and our world. Ships have sailed, food has flowed, prices have dropped. This is crucial. It must not stop. After all, every fraction of a food price increase pushes more people and communities further towards poverty, hunger, and in many circumstances, instability. We must do all we can to ensure the continued success of the Black Sea Grain Initiative to provide relief to those in need, including countries in the Middle East and North Africa, relying on accessible and affordable food and fertilizers, both from Ukraine and the Russian Federation. Excellencies, COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh is another vital opportunity for restoring trust between developed and developing countries. Wealthier countries must lead. They must reduce their emissions this decade in line with keeping global warming to 1.5 degrees and fully pivot to renewable energy. And they must finally mobilize $100 billion annually to support developing countries build resilience. Half of all climate finance must flow to adaptation. I just came from Pakistan, and it broke my heart to see a flooded area that's 3 times the size of my own country, Portugal. And we must urgently address the climate impacts that are beyond countries' abilities to adapt. Action on loss and damage is a moral imperative that must be front and center at COP27. It is immoral and unreasonable to expect communities that did nothing to cause global heating to pay the price for climate impacts. Excellencies, allow me to conclude with a final appeal. The unity of the Arab world is the raison d'être of the League of Arab States. At this time of growing geopolitical divides, that unity has never been more essential. Division opens the door to foreign non-Arab interference, to terrorism, to manipulation and sectarian strife. But united, your leadership can shape a region that makes the most its enormous potential and contributes to global peace and security. A region centered on solving differences through dialogue, rooted in respect and mutual interest. In all this work, you can count on me and the United Nations to continue our deep partnership to improve the lives of the people of the Arab region and our world. Shukran.
أشكر الأمين العام للأمم المتحدة سيد
Secretary
غوتيريس.
General of the United Nations. I'd like us to invite Mr. Musa Faqih Muhammad, the head of the African Union Commission, to deliver his speech. Please take the floor.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
In the name of God, the most gracious, the most compassionate. May peace and blessings of God be upon his prophet. Excellency Abdul Majid Tebboune, the President of the Republic of Algeria, Majesties, Royal Highnesses, Excellencies, Excellency Mr. Macky Sall, the President of Senegal and the President of the African Union, the Secretary General of the United Nations, the Secretary General of the Islamic Cooperation Organization, Excellencies, Ministers, Excellency, my dear brother, Mr. Ahmed Abul Ghaid, the Secretary General of the League of Arab States, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor to extend the truest feelings of thanks and appreciation to the government and people of Algeria for the invitation and the warm hospitality and welcoming since I came to the good lands and great lands of Algeria. I'd like also to extend thanks to my brother Ahmed Abul Ghaid for his usual good communication and brotherhood during our common work. I came carrying to you all the brotherhood, solidarity, and the true wishes of success and guidance from the African Union Commission and all the peoples of the continent. I do not need to mention the links between Africa and the Arab world, including the relationships of brotherhood, friendship, and the joint destiny. In addition to our desire to develop these links in a manner serving the peoples of the two systems, it's clear that we do not need to stress the history, culture, principles, and aspirations as a contribution to build a civilization based on peace and justice in all the fields. Our common suffering from the occupation and lagging behind and the globalization that drained our peoples and the consequences represented in our situations is a reason to enhance our solidarity and support to each other. In this context, the Palestinian cause and the fighting of the Palestinian people defending their legitimate basic rights and freedom, independence, and establishing their internal sovereign state is a concern for our two organizations. It's necessary then to double the solidarity and coordination between us to advocate the Palestinian people practically and effectively. So the occupation will stop and the violation against them will stop also, and to achieve their dreams of freedom and establishing their independent state with Eastern Jerusalem as its capital according to the international legitimacy and the decisions of our organizations in this regard. In this context, we have to praise the efforts of Algeria in uniting the Palestinian sectors. We also urge the Palestinian people to exert all their efforts to unite the Palestinian line, our joint fighting towards peace and security and stability, and stopping the terrorism and extremism is another motive of our joint action. No doubt that this partnership today witnesses unprecedented recession. It's not acceptable considering the factors of unity and solidarity and building the future. It's not acceptable considering the size of the hopes related to our partnership. It's necessary to push forward a constructive and serious dialogue to enhance the African-Arab partnership towards better horizons. In this regard, we have many hopes related to the African-Arab Summit to be held in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia next year. The African Union is indeed keen on activating our cooperation for a new renaissance, like the one that was activated during our fighting against colonialism and racial discrimination and building the independent modern state. In this context, I'd like to remind everyone that the major challenges in the historic moment we are witnessing are focused in four things: the health issue or crisis, food crisis, energy crisis, and the environmental crisis that we wish that organizing COP27 in Egypt with the African Arab belonging is a new era to apply their commitments. The consequences of these four things on the different people in Earth is the core of our current interests. Majesties, Royal Highnesses, Excellencies, our communities today are facing shocking challenges in some of our countries, as the communities are divided and the peoples are affected and the energy is wasted. The situation in Libya, Sudan, Somalia, and the Sahel require a strong leap and courage to help the brotherly states in the brotherly peoples in these states to overcome their difficulties. The African Union depends an approach in these countries based on solving the crises depending on the will of their people, away from all the forms of intervention, control, and the waste of the human resources and the will of peoples. In the African Union, we are convinced that if the efforts are seriously coordinated, a great change will happen in the destinies of the peoples of the two organizations. This is our dream, and this is the main point of our cooperation and the essence of our mission to your blessed nation. Wishing you an impressive success and the practical constructive results. May God guide you all.
أشكر السيد موسى فقيه.
I'd like to thank Mr. Moussa Faqih, the head of the African Union Commission, for his speech. I invite Mr. Hussein Ibrahim Taha, the Secretary General of the Islamic Cooperation Organization, to deliver his speech.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
In the name of God, the most gracious, the most compassionate, may peace and blessings of God be upon His Prophet. Excellency, Mr. President Abdelmajid Tebboune, the President of the Republic of Algeria, and the President of the 31st session of the Summit of the League of Arab States. Majesties, Excellency Mr. Ahmed Abdul Ghait, the Secretary General of the League of Arab States, ladies and gentlemen, for me it's a real pleasure
Président de la République algérienne démocratique et populaire, mes sincères remerciements pour l'aimable invitation qu'il nous a adressée pour participer à cette 31e session du Conseil de la Ligue des États arabes au niveau du sommet. Mes vifs remerciements vont également à son Excellence M. Ahmed Abdul Ghait, secrétaire général de la Ligue des
from the League of Arab States. First, before starting my speech, I'd like to extend to His Excellency President Abdel Majid Tebboune to thank him for the thanks for the sharing with the Algerian people the anniversary of the Algerian Revolution. In this regard, wishing the Algerian people to be prosper and developed. I'd like also to congratulate President Abdel Majid Tebboune and the government of Algeria for the presidency of the 31st summit session. Knowing that it will be successful and effective. It's a pleasure to salute Tunisia for the presidency of the previous summit. I'd like also to express the deep appreciation and cooperation between the Islamic organization and the League of Arab States based on the common principles. We are looking forward to enhance the cooperation, solidarity, integration and coordination between the two parties. Hence, at the time we are recovering from the COVID-19 and its consequences, the world is still facing economic challenges and climate challenges also. There are many issues that concern the Islamic Arab world, including the Palestinian cause and making the Eastern Jerusalem the capital of Palestine. This requires a joint Arab action. It's in the core of the concerns of the Arab world. However, it's still unresolved. Palestine, unfortunately, is attacked by Israel several times, which threatens with consequences that will aggravate and escalate the current situations. That's why we need to double the efforts at the international levels to implement the international resolutions and provide the international protection for the Palestinian people, in addition to fulfill their basic rights, particularly the right to establish a state according to the borders of 1967 with Jerusalem as its capital. In this regard, I can never forget to congratulate once again signing the Algeria Declaration for Union of the Palestinian, which is a very important stage and puts an end to the division. I'd like also to salute the Algerian people for these valuable efforts and for accompanying the Palestinian people. We stress our support to this initiative to enhance the Palestinian unity in the framework of Palestinian liberation.
Nous soutenons les efforts de la Ligue des
which
États
is
arabes
pursued by
pour
the
la
Palestinian
réalisation de
people.
la sécurité
Here,
et de la stabilité en Libye,
we also
en
support the
Somalie,
efforts of the League of
en
Arab
Irak,
States
au Yémen, en Syrie et
to
au Soudan. Monsieur le Président, Majesté, Altesse,
achieve
Excellences, Mesdames,
peace
Messieurs,
and security in
au sein de
Sudan,
l'OCI,
Libya,
nous déployons de grands efforts face aux crises
and
et
Libya in
défis
the framework
qui se
of the
présentent
Islamic
dans les États du
Organization.
Sahel et du bassin
Actually,
du
in the
lac Tchad.
Islamic Cooperation Organization, we exert lots of
Et en
efforts
Afghanistan,
regarding the challenges facing Sahel
les droits
countries,
de nos frères
in addition to
et
Afghanistan.
soutenons sous le droit
We
de nos
also would
frères
like
bédouins,
to
au
support
Myanmar,
the
au
rights
Jammu
of
Cachemire et toutes les minorités musulmanes dans le monde. Nous
our
réaffirmons
brothers
la
in
souveraineté
Rohingya and
de la
all the
République
Islamic
d'Azerbaïdjan
minorities
sur ce
worldwide.
territoire.
We
La
stress
lutte contre le
again the
terrorisme,
Azerbaijan
l'extrémisme,
sovereignty on
le
its
discours de haine et
territories,
l'islamophobie dans le monde
combating
est aussi
terrorism
parmi les défis majeurs auxquels nos sociétés arabes et africaines
and
et
extremism
musulmanes doivent faire face en ce
is
qui
a,
le
is a
concerne.
core concern for us. Such challenges have to be faced by the Arab countries.
Cette situation exige l'intensification des efforts, le renforcement de la coopération
This
à l'échelle
case
régionale et
requires
internationale,
doubling efforts and enhancing cooperation at the international and regional levels,
et compréhension
and
mutuelle
rooting
et de
the
coexistence pacifique.
principles of mutual understanding and peaceful coexistence.
Excellences,
Mr.
Mesdames et
President,
Messieurs,
Majesties, Royal Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen,
entre l'OCI et la Ligue des États arabes pour contribuer à la
pursuing enhancing
solution
cooperation
des
between
conflits
Islamic Cooperation Organization and the League of Arab States to settle the issues of mutual interest and enhancing the scientific and economic and cultural cooperation in addition to women and youth empowerment, we are fully confident that the Algeria's presidency of the League of Arab States will move forward and will enhance the works of the League of Arab States. May peace and blessings of God be upon you. I'd like to thank Mr. Hussein Ibrahim Taha, the Secretary General of the Islamic Cooperation Organization, for his valuable speech. I believe now it's time to conclude the opening session of our summit. Tomorrow we will resume our work in the framework of the consultative session and the following action sessions. Thank you all.
أنتم مدعوون للعشاء فورا في فندق شيراتون.